Hi there, greetings and salutations. My name is Jake Query. Sitting to my left is the oddly cemented in grin Derek Schultz. This is Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. Episode number what, Derek?
Ooh, what is this, Greg? 182? 182.
182, really?
182, yeah.
If you take 182 and you subtract 160, what do you get?
22.
Right. And if you were to buy a 22 jersey for the Indiana Fever, you would get what back when you hit send?
Confirmation email, and then you'd be subscribed to their mailing list, and you'd never be able to get off of it, probably.
No. You would get a thing saying, sorry, sold out, not available.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Are they sold out already? They sold out? I didn't see this. Are they sold out?
Hi, my name is Jake Query. I'm the one of the two of us that pays attention to what's going on in the world of sports.
I didn't see.
Derek Schultz is actually still stunned at the news of what happened to the president in Dallas. And
I wasn't alive. That was 20 years before I was born. 1983 minus 1963 is 20 years. I didn't see that they sold out. That does not surprise me. I saw 17,000 people at the draft party, and we're
talking, by the way, about the drafting of Caitlin Clark,
the
the college basketball sensation out of the University of Iowa, who was the number one overall selection of your Indiana Fever.
We kind of did this last week with the solar eclipse, where I think we talked about how very rarely is something hyped and then it lives up to the hype. And obviously Caitlin Clark, it's still TBD, right, what she's going to be as a pro. But I just don't think – I don't think it's hyperbole to suggest that Caitlin Clark joining the Fever is a momentous occasion for Indianapolis sports. Forget just women's basketball and for the Fever, or even for Pacer Sports and Entertainment. It's a really big deal to have a ready-made superstar. She stepping here, the second that she steps into the 317 area code, I would argue she is arguably the second biggest superstar to ever just step right in. I think you'd probably put Peyton Manning in his own category, right? And then Eric Dickerson is the only other one that comes to mind, like ready-made superstar. Like people say, well, Paul George, Reggie Miller. No one knew who those guys were when they got here. No one knew who they were.
Same with Tyrese Halliburton, right?
Yeah, no one knew who Tyrese Halliburton was when he got here. So I just think that there is a different level of what she brings to the table for the city.
There are several things in play here, Derek. First off, to me, the forecast of the winds of change was presented on the screen over the weekend. So Saturday, gorgeous day Saturday, right?
Oh,
beautiful.
The whole entire weekend was amazing.
So the weather's perfect Saturday. We go out, we have a beer, we go to dinner, come home, flipping the channels, and I have this weird thing where, when's the last time that you watched Saturday Night Live?
Long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
under 10 years, probably?
I haven't watched it in a long time,
yeah.
But I always watch the Open because it reminds me of, like, it's kind of like this melancholic feeling of, like, high school years when it's like, oh, man, it's time to head home or whatever, right?
It was cool to stay up late
and so, and then occasionally I'll flash back to watch the news portion of it. That's the only thing I watch. And I knew. So I flip over, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. To my knowledge, and I could be wrong in this, there have only been, in terms of athletes when they were Indianapolis athletes, Peyton Manning was host at SNL.
Of course,
right?
Yep.
But he was like
10 years into
7
his career.
years in, yeah.
07 maybe, I want to say that was,
okay.
08.
And then Caitlin Clark is on there. And not only was Caitlin Clark on Saturday Night Live, but Derek, as soon as the crowd realized who it was, they go crazy. And I'm like, this is a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
To the likes that we've never seen in women's basketball and seen rarely within basketball or football in general. Now, that all of it, and she has said all the right things. You're wondering when as her brand was exploding before our very eyes in the last year, okay? You wondered what her thought process was. And this is somebody from Iowa, not Riverside, California, not Brooklyn, not Miami, Iowa, right? And even in Iowa, she's already gotten $3 million in endorsements in grocery stores and investment firms and everything else. So in being drafted to the Indiana Fever, one of the things you kind of figured out is that I think a portion of her decision to come out this year, because she could have gone back to Iowa, was based in the fact that she wanted to play in Indiana. I think she liked the fact it's Midwestern. She liked Lynn Dunn. She grew up admiring Tamika Catchings. It's the perfect fit. And it's the perfect fit because she knows Peyton Manning proved to her that you don't have to play in Chicago or New York or Los Angeles to get endorsements. You can be a mega star in Indianapolis. Her jersey sold out within an hour of her drafting, and it is the mania is here. Now, she could be Jimmer Fredette. She could be Adam Morrison. I don't think she is. She could. But the thing that is going to be most important is this is Aaliyah Boston's team. And Aaliyah Boston's a great player in the low post, and Caitlin Clark needs to feed off Aaliyah Boston. This is not about Aaliyah Boston suddenly feeding off Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, initially that'll be the case for sure as she kind of grows into it, because I think expecting anybody to just come in and dominate is tough to do, and Aaliyah Boston came pretty close to that coming in and I mean, she had a fabulous rookie year.
Right.
But I think her ability as a passer is what makes her dangerous right away. Caitlin Clark, that is.
I would agree with that.
And with some of these other weapons that she has. But yeah, I mean, you talk about Saturday Night Live and the profile, if I'm making a list of the biggest American sports stars right at this second, she's in the top 5. She might be in the top 3, honestly. I mean, that's how big of a deal it is. And again, that's not an exaggeration. That's actually just the truth. And I don't believe, and I don't know, Jacob, you tell me if you think I'm wrong here. The LA Sparks had the number 1 pick and the New York Liberty had the number 1. I just don't believe that 17,000 people would be there to see. I don't believe it. I think there's something unique about it being Indiana and being Midwest and being a fit and people getting excited about it.
Of the 17,000 people that were at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for the drafting of Caitlin Clark, how many of them live in Indiana?
Yeah, I mean,
12,000?
It's probably a good question. I mean, I don't know if on a Monday night there were 5,000 Iowans there, but I do think that there were some.
I would almost guarantee it.
That ended up going. I think what's great about this sports city, I've always kind of defended Indianapolis in this way. When there is something to be excited about, fans get excited. There are some cities like Atlanta where there's something to be excited about, fans still don't get excited. Indy, you can say it's fair weather because when they're losing, people check out. Yeah, we've seen that. Colts fans check out, Pacers fans check out. That is not unique to Indy. There are a lot of markets that are like that. I think pretty much all markets now, maybe outside of Cleveland, are like that at this point. But when you give them something to be excited about, fans get on board. It doesn't take much prodding to get Indy fans to get on board and to believe. And I just think that this is a really exciting time to have this superstar that transcends her sport and
now,
is cool and everybody wants to be around her, and here she is in our city.
Okay, 2 things here. Number 1, how long will she have to gain her footing in the WNBA before people move on to the next thing? I don't mean the diehards. I mean the
it's the $1 million question, because look at like Breanna Stewart, right? She came in and she's a 2-time MVP. She dominated college. She's dominated the WNBA, but nobody cares. Right. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody cares. Basketball fans, I think, care, or especially WNBA fans care, but it hasn't moved the needle for the league. Breanna Stewart didn't move the needle for the league. Diana Taurasi, as great as she is, didn't really move the needle for the league. This is an opportunity for Caitlin Clark because of everything that's happening around women's basketball. Not just Caitlin Clark, but everything that's happening around women's basketball. Angel Reese, Paige Beckers, even what Aaliyah Boston did, Dawn Staley, Gino's presence is omnipresent. Women's college basketball is far bigger and more popular and has far more eyeballs on it right now than it ever has.
Correct.
But it's about carrying that over to a pro league. Like, I know when the women's Final Four is. You know what I mean? I don't know when the WNBA playoffs start. Somebody needs to tell me that. Now, I need to know what channel it's on. I need to know what time they play.
The other thing that's interesting is this. The Pacers Sports Entertainment, the Indiana Fever, and the NBA had plans in place about how they are going to handle Caitlin Clark's rookie year long before she was drafted. Mm-hmm. And one of those things, naturally speaking, for the franchise, I assume, is to kind of protect and insulate her and make sure that she's not caught up in every single demand that is being asked of her. I think there are circumstances where, yes, she will accommodate things. But every single person that's like, well, my daughter's she's played basketball for 3 years and she fell in love with it because Caitlin Clark. So like, can we meet her before the game? Like they're going to have to start protecting her, and you hope that doesn't create a backlash because hopefully people will understand it because the requests on her are going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, there's never been a demand for it before, right? And generally speaking, the WNBA has wanted to take advantage of every single opportunity to put their players and their league out there, and now. Caitlin Clark is only one person. She can only do so much. She can't be everywhere at once. She can't say yes to every interview request, right?
It's like you.
There was a time, and I wouldn't say that now, but you're right. I mean, that's actually a really good point. There was a time in my life where I had to turn things down, and I was getting pulled in a lot of different directions.
When was this time?
When was my Star the Brightest? 2018, around there, like around San Antonio. Like when you start getting recognized on the Riverwalk, that was like a whoa, like this is really happening.
What job were you in that at that time?
We were doing Query and Schultz.
Oh, so it was
at that time, yeah.
So it was,
I don't think I was with you because you stayed at the Howard Johnsons.
Right.
You were getting tired of me, and I went to the Riverwalk myself, and I got recognized a couple of times
by who?
By a few people. I don't remember their name. Like I said, there's so many people. It's like
how about Matthew and Maine, by the way, that got a tumbler?
Remember all of it.
Matthew and Maine got a tumbler, one of the Stanley deals or whatever, and you could get 3 letters, and so Matthew got QNS.
Yeah, pretty cool. In the ampersand, right in the middle.
I think it's an N.
No, I think it was just that was, God rest his soul, that was a Deuce thing. Remember, he used to always put the N in between Query and Schultz. You know who I met at Hoagies and Hops? This is a true story on Sunday.
Do I know the person?
Yeah, I mean, you know of him, but you've never met him because he doesn't live here.
Is he famous?
He's famous on the show, I guess. If you're a YouTube viewer, you know who he is, and he watches all the fan shows too. I know he sometimes calls in. I don't know if he's called into Aquarian Company, but I know he's called into John's show.
Curtin, Arkansas.
No, but you're the right state name as far as the first letter.
Ark?
No, the first letter in Arkansas. It's the right state.
Oh, a guy from Alabama?
No. Think of another A state, not Alaska.
Jonah from Arizona.
Yes, Jonah in Arizona. I met at Hoagies and Hops.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
Jonah just moved back, right? It took him 9 months to move back, but he's moved back.
And he's been to Hoagies and Hops several times. It's great to hear from listeners like that. But, yeah, I don't want to get too distracted, but I think –
you're the one that went down that path. Jonah's a heck of a nice guy.
No, but because you mentioned it, I think it's better for us, more me than you, to – we've lived it, right? We know what it's like to have people pulling you in all different directions and people want a piece of you. Not like in a bad way, like in a you're a star, I want to be around you. You give off that ambiance kind of way. And so we can kind of give some advice to Caitlin about handling
You know, it's part of the glow that radiates off of me until my spray tan fades and then look at my hands.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Is she going to be on your show?
That's why Michael Jackson wore a glove.
Have you talked to anybody
TBD.
over there? Yeah.
TBD.
I didn't know if she was going to do a media tour here or what the plans were. Right. You know, you think about it, Jake. Zach Edey or anybody that's going to get taken in the NBA draft, you get a couple of months to just kind of I should say you at least get a week or two.
It is amazing.
To decompress a little bit. Right. And then, you go through the draft process and all of that, and the summer is busy. I'm not saying that these guys get like 3 months off, but there's a little bit of a window to catch your breath. Caitlin Clark's got her first regular season game in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy. They turn right around. There's no break for her at all.
Yeah,
or any of these women.
It is a excuse me, it is a lightning quick turnaround.
Yeah, God, what a grind.
And that may not be a bad thing though, because you just got you don't really have a choice. You know, it's kind of like, Derek, when you start college and you go for like welcome week and like all that and you got everything, and at some point you're like, I just want classes to start and just get to that point where I'm not sure what day of the week it is.
I hear you. Yeah.
And I think that's best with a young player. I think she knows everything that is coming her way. Other players are very adamant about the learning curve for her. And I think that the WNBA, the gap between the WNBA and college basketball, I think is greater than the gap between high-level college basketball and the NBA.
Yeah, because the league isn't watered down at all.
Correct.
They need more teams.
Correct.
You know, most male pro sports need fewer teams.
Right.
They don't let enough people.
I mean, this is a league where like first or second round players are getting cut.
This is the elite of the elite. Yeah,
right.
They cut first round players after a year in this league. So yeah, and women are just relentless competitors and very intense, so I don't blame them for having that outlook. But I think there's something to the fact that a lot of these high-level WNBA players, their star has fallen since becoming professionals. Breanna Stewart was a bigger deal at UConn than she is right now. Ditto for Diana Taurasi. Ditto for Tamika Catchings was a bigger deal at Tennessee. As much as I love Tamika Catchings than she was as a member of the Indiana Fever. And I think here's a chance here for Caitlin Clark to really elevate the league and then the national profile of the league. So people know these names. Like, people know Breanna Stewart went to UConn. Do they know what pro team she plays for? Do they know what pro team Diana Taurasi has largely played for?
Who would you say was the WNBA's first big star?
Lisa Leslie?
Way up there. Rebecca Lobo?
Yeah.
Cheryl
New York Liberty,
Cheryl
I remember. I'm probably the wrong person to ask because when the WNBA launched, I was 13, and my sisters were 13. Obviously, I'm a triplet. I'm not sure if you guys know that at home. And they were gigantic women's basketball fans. They had all the trading cards. They had the shirts. They were New York Liberty fans. They loved UConn. And so I knew, Dawn Staley and the 96 team in Atlanta. I knew about all these women just through osmosis from them. But yeah, I would say Lisa Leslie would be the first.
So if I named the city, you'd be
Cheryl
able to tell
Swoops
me,
would be right up there too.
would you tell me the franchise if I named the city?
From the original WNBA, I probably could.
Utah.
Was there a team in Utah? I know the Utah Stars were the ABA.
That's it.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Cleveland Rockers?
San Antonio.
San Antonio Silver Stars, right?
Is that what it is, Greg? Yep.
Yeah.
What Indianapolis player for San Antonio?
Toli Bevilacqua?
Shira Eli.
Oh, okay.
Played for San Antonio.
Gotcha.
Atlanta.
Dream.
Chicago.
Sky.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sacramento.
Monarchs.
Wow.
You're on it. Yeah.
Baltimore.
There wasn't a Baltimore team, was there? Yeah, there wasn't a Baltimore team. They had a lot to move. They had the Cleveland Rockers. Houston Comets don't exist anymore, right? That was like Cheryl Swoops and Tina Thompson.
Tulsa.
Shock, because
Correct.
they moved to Detroit or from Detroit.
Correct.
One of the two. Yeah.
Correct.
Bill
Bill
Laimbeer coached them for a while. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Well, I went to those the Fever team that went in 2009 to the finals with like Katie Douglas, Tamika Catchings, Tammy Sutton Brown, like that group. I went to a lot of those games that year, and that was a fun season. But still, Jake, I mean, on a good night, they were having 6,000 or 7,000 people there on a really good night.
Hagen was in the parade.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for him.
I could see you want to do that if they win.
I just think now we've kind of opened up the jar on, hey, high-level women's basketball is great. You should watch it. You'll be entertained.
You're
it's
right.
fun. It's interesting. We just need it to move up to the pro level. And here's the opportunity for Indiana specifically and Caitlin Clark to be front and center in making that happen.
Speaking of Indiana and professional basketball, Pacers and Bucks, the NBA playoffs are set. We now know that it's going to be Indiana and Milwaukee. That game number 1 is on Sunday. I have no idea, Derek, what the delay is from the NBA in giving us the rest of the schedule in terms of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah.
But nonetheless, we know game number 1 is Sunday. Big question mark is going to be the health of Giannis, right?
Yeah. I had all this planned for segment 2.
I know that was a tease. You can throw that into, and
Okay.
that's what we're going to.
Because you were asking me like you wanted me to talk about it. Maybe we can get that in post because Jake jumped the gun a little bit. Vince, let's just we'll rewind that a little bit. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. So a big opportunity for Indiana and Caitlin Clark to advance the pro women's game. Jake.
I would agree. Speaking of advance, by the way, Indiana's going to hope to do exactly that on the men's side against the Milwaukee Bucks. We now know that game 1 is going to be on Sunday. I don't know what the NBA's holdup is.
Yeah, me neither. That's weird.
And announcing the rest of it.
Very
But Pacers, Bucks, Giannis, by the way, may not play, but we shall see. He has a strained calf. Rick Carlisle, though, talked about whether or not Giannis is going to play. You want to get to that next?
Yeah, we can do that next. We were going to do Hoagie and Hero. I gave you the show rundown. Like, why don't you know?
You just said to me,
let's
let's do this again so that we can, like, tease it for the next segment. And I literally took it right here. I made this sandwich. I put it there, and I'm like, here you go. There's your.
Okay.
I'm serving you up lunch of segment 2 on the tees. And what did you do?
Okay, Jake wants us to do Hoagies and Hops and Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week in the same segment, apparently. So I guess we're going to do that next. Just throwing everything out here, throwing all decorum out the window. Corey and Schultz, episode 182. Stick around and see what's next.
Have we done this 181 times?
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Indiana dairy farmers provide us with safe, pure foods for our tables. A responsibility that takes intuition, resolve, and determination to make sure their milk is good for you and delicious to taste. Their connection with our community runs deep, passed down through the generations, ensuring that milk is always available at your store. It's not easy being a dairy farmer, but the rewards have special meaning when you can feed Indiana's families every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood presents Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jake Query, I'm Derek Schultz. 855-350-HOME. BAWFG.com for our friends at
Derek.
Bailey & Wood Financial
Bailey &
Group.
Wood, who we love, and they are dedicated
Love
to
dearly. Yes.
southern Indianapolis, central Indiana, making sure you're getting the best mortgage rate. They are the, I'd like to say at times, proud presenting sponsor of this
Always.
program, but that merits you talking a little bit slower and letting people know about Bailey & Wood and the fabulous work that Mike and the crew is doing to helping people get in, stay in, get new homes. One more time, the number and the website a little slower.
BAWFG.com.
BAWFG.com.
855-350-HOME.
Okay, that's better.
So you're looking to refi, you're looking to get pre-approval for a mortgage, you can call our friends at Bailey & Wood Financial Group and their 5-star customer service, and they'll take care of you. We really appreciate them sponsoring the show. We also appreciate our friends at ADAI, American Dairy Association Indiana, and it's time for our Winners Drink Milk Winner of the Week, only a couple of weeks away from the month.
Just so you know,
May.
Derek, one amendment to this from the American Dairy Association of Indiana. When it came to the milk facts, Brooke and Jenny both said, nice job on the milk facts, Jake, but you seem to be more up to speed on them than Derek, so let's take that a little more serious. I said, I totally understand. Bottom line, mini marathon coming up, 13.1 miles. You might be training for that. You might be at the gym working out. What's the best
Every
way
day.
to rehydrate after a good workout? Chocolate milk. Milk in general, but chocolate milk in particular, because you are getting with it the same amount of vitamin A as 2 cups of spinach. You are getting the same amount of protein as 2 hard-boiled eggs. You're getting the same amount of potassium as a banana. And you're getting it with the great refreshing taste that, of course, is chocolate milk. Because winners drink milk just like the winner of the 108th Indianapolis 500-mile race will do. They will take that famous swig of milk, the greatest celebration in all of sports. American Dairy Association of Indiana. Derek, I hate to tell you this, they're not even showing you on camera right now while you are doing that ridiculous flex.
Well,
thank
what
you
stinks
for
is
bringing
that
us our winner of the week.
I'm getting old now, so I'm getting like these little curly black hairs. Can you see that on the top of my arm?
I'm trying to drink this milk.
See, but it's kind of like
So who's
I don't want to shave my arm. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to have like arm stubble. It's weird. So I want to just kind of keep it as is. Keep it au natural. I'm still good on my back. I don't have like little scraggly black hairs on my back, but I'm getting like this mole has some on there. I mean, it doesn't take away from the arm itself.
Do we have a winner of the week?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. Pacers fans, I think, are the winner of the week.
Okay.
So people like Vince. Vince is one of our winners of the week. I know it doesn't feel like that long ago. The years run together, right? But next week, so, you know, depending on what the NBA playoff schedule is, let's say Wednesday or Thursday, will be the first time that the Pacers host a playoff game since 2019. That's 5 years ago, Jake. And this is for a franchise that we're normally used to making the playoffs, right? For a large majority, if you're 40 or younger, so if you're my age or younger, you're used to the Pacers making the playoffs.
Right.
And this has not been a great stretch. It's been a boring, mediocre, sometimes downright bad level of basketball from COVID until now. And they just won 12 more games than they won last year. They won 47 games. They locked themselves into the field. This was a really good season, what the Pacers did. I think how it went is how people judge it, because people got really excited with the in-season tournament early on, and then the Pacers basically played like 500 basketball for the last, 2 or 3 months.
But they've really turned it on here of late.
Yes, but overall, it's been a really good season. I mean, you have to be very happy with where they are. And I think it's also time to get hyped because they're playing Milwaukee. And they're playing a former NBA champion and an MVP in Giannis. And I kind of would have liked to see Pacers-Knicks, but I would argue that the Bucks are actually a better matchup. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be great to be back in the field house again and hear it at full throat.
I think they've got a good chance against Milwaukee. A lot of that comes down to Giannis' health, of course. I don't know that the combination of Giannis and Damian Lillard has paid off for Milwaukee the way they anticipated. But the Pacers in the regular season have fared well against this group. Now, that's not to say that they're going to be able to now. I mean, things have changed since then. You have Doc Rivers now that's coaching, so they've made a change there. Pacers now have Pascal Siakam. I think they've kind of figured out how to play with that as opposed to when Buddy Hield's out there. So it is a little bit different look than that we saw in the regular season. But I think the Pacers are playing well. I think against Atlanta, what you saw was the fact that they've now figured out how to really clamp down on that defense while still allowing their offense to go and to run. Obi Toppin's been playing really well for them. He was their Iron Man this year, played every game of the year, so kudos to him. But, yeah, our Winners Drink Milk winner of the week goes to just as much that guy right there for being the Iron Man of playing 182 games, meaning that he probably drank his chocolate milk after each and every game to replenish. But also to Pacer fans for enjoying a season, sticking it out, and being by the team to return to the playoffs. This milk's for you, if you will.
Do you know the last time the Pacers won a playoff game?
A playoff game?
Yeah.
I will say
they haven't won a playoff series in 10 years.
A playoff game, I would say, against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, so it was the Oladipo, the first Oladipo-Sabonis team, 17-18 season. That is one of the few times in my life. In a best-of-7 series, 90% of the time, I'd say the better team wins. That's one of the few times in my life that I left a series, and I'm not saying this to be a homer or anything like that. I left a series feeling like the better team lost.
Yeah.
That was LeBron and a bunch of CBA-level players. Remember, like, Jordan Clarkson?
Yeah.
That Cavs team stunk. The fact that they went to the finals is amazing and shows a lot about who LeBron is. But Pacers should have won that series.
I like the people that are like, how many finals did LeBron lose? Yeah, he took like Derek's AAU team. Like
Boobie Gibson. Yeah, I mean, give me a break. You got to be in the finals to lose in the finals, right? But I do think this matchup, the fact that they've played 5 times, the Bucks and Pacers, but they haven't played since early January is interesting to me. They haven't played each other in months. I think you throw a lot of that out the window. Bucks will be motivated, right? There was like a little bit of a thing here between the two teams.
You got the stolen basketball, the Oscar Shibwe incident, and all that. Yeah,
I think fans really thirst for that. When I talk to people who are like, "Well, I don't watch the NBA anymore," blah blah blah. Sometimes it's for the wrong reasons, right? Sometimes there are things that are there are some undertones there that I don't appreciate, but I do think that people miss the hatred, the intensity of 90s basketball. As much as it was great to see Reggie Miller's playoff heroics and you never really knew what you were going to get, I think people enjoyed those games because they had a genuine hatred for the Knicks. Correct. And the Pacers and Knicks had a genuine hatred towards each other.
Correct.
And people miss that because they see these guys high-fiving and hugging at center court after the games, and they're like, well, wait a minute. You guys are competitors. We want you to not like each other. And I think they miss that aspect of it. So if we can actually get 2 teams that don't like each other, that's great.
People want the 2 of us to like each other.
We do. We're best friends.
Okay.
So mission accomplished.
I didn't even get invited to your birthday party.
That's an Ashley question. It was a surprise party. I had no idea that there was a birthday party.
Well, you would think that if I'm your best friend, your spouse would know it.
It was a surprise party. And we had a head count. We were at the Bottle Works suite, so we had a a head count of what we could let in.
She probably didn't want me to upstage everything, right? Kind of like your bachelor party.
I don't have much of a memory of that. I know that you came to the bachelor party, but the details are a little bit hazy. For me, it was later on in the bachelor party.
I was on the way to the strip club.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing,
and oddly, his wife.
So yeah, well, Rolando, yes, brought his wife to a bachelor party, which was an interesting choice. I think
I didn't say any names.
When it comes to how the rest of the playoffs, like some people were like, well, it's good because the Pacers wanted to avoid the Celtics half of the bracket. I'm like, guys, like, I'm not even thinking about that. Okay,
right.
I'm not even thinking about the second round or the third round or anything like that. I would like to see the Pacers have a competitive series.
Did you see
that is my bar for them? Don't get swept. I'm not expecting them to beat the Bucks. I think, gun to my head, I think the Bucks probably win the series in 6 games. But I would like to see the Pacers really push them and cause some problems.
Did you see the tweet from Seth Davis about the Celtics?
No.
Seth Davis had a tweet that said, "Keep an eye on this. Brad Stevens may be itching to return to college coaching, and there could be a major job in his home state within a year."
Yeah, I did see that.
I think there's a reason he sent that tweet.
We'll see. I'll say this. Everyone, and even some better programs that have kind of sat back and said, well, we're going to get this guy when their job opened up, have gotten several tiers lower than that.
Understood.
Kentucky it happened to. Louisville it happened to.
But what if
it is not easy to get.
But Derek, Kentucky didn't have people close to Danny Hurley telling them, you know what? It might be time.
Look, anything's possible. I don't want to speak in absolutes about anything. I've kind of been in this long enough to learn that. But I do think that people need to set themselves up to be disappointed. It is much more difficult in 2024 to get people to leave comfortable, happy, well-paid situations.
Understood. And I will simply say.
Maybe it happens.
I will simply say I think you're right about all of those things. But I also think I would have said to you 100% the last 2 years, you are exactly correct. And now I'm saying that I would say that 85%.
Well, I think that the last go-around with Woodson, it wasn't just an absolute no, brush it off right away type thing. Remember? Because he was talked about with that. And
right.
and I found that interesting that there were at least a conversation or two that took place. Where I don't want to say that Brad Stevens was contemplating coming to Indiana, but it was at least like not an immediate rejection.
There was an overture, and when that overture was not met, then basically the athletic director was told, well, here's the guy you're going to hire.
Okay.
And so they went with that. And then I do think that now there are some things that have been said, like, maybe that would be considered more so than before. But a lot of it has to, a lot of it depends on what happens with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, and it also, I don't think it's a fait accompli that Woodson is fired after this year either. I know some people feel that way.
I will say that I would agree with that.
Yeah.
There is only one scenario where Mike Woodson would be fired even with a tournament appearance. And that would be if Brad Stevens said, I'd like to coach at Indiana. That's the one, and I'm not saying that's going to happen in any way, shape, or form, but I'm saying that is the one, in terms of timing, Brad Stevens is the one guy that can determine timing.
Well, okay, but and I don't think this is going to happen, but let's just throw it out there hypothetically. Indiana finishes second in the Big Ten. They are a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they make the Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't fire Mike Woodson. Now, would they?
They may not. That's correct. But they may say to Mike Woodson, hey, good news.
Would they push him to retire?
Yes.
Maybe. But I think.
Let's be real about this. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying this strictly for the sake of the hypotheticals.
Yeah.
If Brad Stevens woke up tomorrow and decided, you know what, I have always wanted to live in Bloomington, Indiana. And gosh darn it, I miss coaching, and I love kids. I like going into high schools, and I want to coach kids, and I want to see the Indiana team that I rooted for growing up. I want to see them return to prominence. If Brad Stevens said that and called Bloomington, Indiana, and said, I think I'd like to be the IU basketball coach, I got news for you. I don't know what way it would happen, but Mike Woodson would be removed as the coach, and Brad Stevens would be hired.
Look, I'm just pointing out these hypotheticals. There are factors in play here where, Mike Woodson is a program legend. He has powerful friends.
Understood.
And all of those things. So I think you would have to handle – I don't think it's as cut and dried as this would absolutely – you would have to handle that very tactfully.
I don't disagree with that.
And you would have to get everybody on board with that decision.
I don't disagree with that either. I do think that it's interesting that just when that started to – I started to kind of hear some of those things, that Seth Davis, probably the most noted college basketball writer during the tournament, would send something out saying, hey – here's what's a distinct possibility.
National guys don't send stuff out unless they hear something
Correct.
that leads them to send something
Correct.
out.
Like he's not like Seth Davis.
He's not saying it would be cool for Brad Stevens to go to Indiana.
He's not getting that from Corey and Schultz.
No. So those guys have a higher level. They don't. I mean, some of them I guess do, but Seth Davis is not one that would just send that out. I don't think willy nilly. Let's get to our Hoagie and Hero of the Week. How about that? Hero of the Week, Brad Stevens. God, we just love him so much. He's amazing. He's just the best. No, he's not really a hero. This is the Zerns.
Well, he's a hero, but.
So you got some ring bologna here. Smoked bologna. It's good.
Bologna.
Yeah, bologna. Yeah. But it's spelled like bologna. House red beet pickled egg. So like the Dutch tie-in that we talk about sometimes there in PA with Christina. Munster. Really underrated Sando cheese. Munster. Little mayo on this. Well, Jake doesn't like mayo, but I put mayo on mine. Little whole grain beer mustard. And a little shredded L. Right on top of
that
there.
mustard hanging out there. Come on. No, you got.
No, that's good.
You have mustard in your beard.
That's a good time. I've never been so happy I have mustard in my beard. That's the Zerns. Problem with the brew of the week.
It's a great sandwich.
So we grilled out on Sunday. On Monday. And we had hoagies and hops actually with our neighbors on Sunday. And I picked up my order. And it was such a nice day on Sunday night. And I was there with my neighbor. We just cracked open the beers. So I drank them already.
You didn't bring the beers?
There were no beers to be brought. They've been drunken.
What were they?
Mama tried. So they were dark Mexican. They were delicious, by the way. So just picture it in my hand. The dark Mexican lager Mama tried. But it was such a nice day. We were outside, and I didn't have any other beers in the fridge. And I had two. And he's like, can I grab these? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And we cracked them. We had a great night. We had a great weekend. A lot of fun. So sorry I didn't get the chance to try it. I'll bring in Mama Try next week.
Derek.
Because this is a good beer. It's a good repeat beer.
Chili Water Brewing Company partners with Hoagies and Hops to have us display. My friend John and Chris, not John and Chris Love, but John and Chris, they come in from Portland, Oregon for the Eclipse. They went to Hoagies and Hops, and they got Dark Side of the Munich and, I mean, everything based on this show, right?
Yeah.
That's why they do that. They don't do it so that you and your neighbor can sit out in the front yard.
That's true. They were supposed to be show beers, but they ended up being patio beers instead. Sometimes you just got to make an executive decision. And as the co-executive producer of the show, I made a decision, and I got to stand by it.
Who's the other executive producer of the show?
Vince.
I guarantee you Vince ain't going to side with you on this.
Vince is the other co-executive.
All you do is throw that guy under the bus, right?
No, Vince said he was cool with it. I actually texted him, "Could I drink the show beers?" And he gave me the thumbs up emoji.
He probably thought, yeah, that's great, because then, when you get in here and you start having a couple of them, you start just firing off loose lip stuff.
Hero of the week.
You're dripping mayonnaise on the table, Derek.
Did I?
Yes. Look to your left.
Oh yeah, I did. There you go. I got it. Hero of the week, Scotty Scheffler. Now a two-time Masters champ.
Twice in the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, twice in the last 3 years, right? 22? 20, yeah, 22.
Yeah, I guess you're right,
yeah, 23, 24. Was never really seriously threatened. Won by four strokes.
Well, he put it away there, right? The second half of the final round. Forget it.
Only 27 years old. Doesn't it feel like he's older than that?
Yes.
I don't know why it feels like he's older than that, but feels like he's older. There's just some major talent right now in the PGA Tour, and I think he's one of them. Really impressive win for him at the Masters. To call yourself a two-time Masters champ before you turn 30 is pretty darn cool. I mean, that's some serious stuff right there. So congratulations to Scotty Scheffler. 42nd and Boulevard. hoagiesandhops.com for catering and the Chili Water Tap Room as well. Get yourself a Mama Tried and have some patio beers. We come back, love that play. Quick hits and some Indiana State players finding new homes and the transfer portal update for IU as well. Okay. When we return, it's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Derek, how about our buddy? You want to talk about quality individual? And I know this because I've seen first up close and personal, I should say, how much he's willing to help out people. It's almost more about making sure people are helped than it is about helping the bottom line and everything else. How about our boy Darren King at Stewart Tire?
The best.
I
love Darren King. So our friends here at ISC, and we're just talking about Vince. As people know, Vince is a little bit of a crazy driver. Swerved, hit a pothole, busted the tire, and needed help to help out the van.
Have you driven in Central Indiana lately?
Yeah.
Vince didn't have to swerve to hit a pothole.
Have you driven with Vince?
I mean,
but anyway, it doesn't matter. You know,
what is he, Mark Boyle?
It doesn't matter who's at fault in a single car incident. What ended up happening was there was a busted tire. He had a broadcast to get to. They were doing a Marion doubleheader at Marion University, and called our buddy Darren, and he came in to the rescue because that's what Darren does. Darren is a drop what you're doing and help you friend.
No question.
And that's what he did, and that's what the folks at Stewart Tire will do for you. They've been a sponsor of this show. Jake and I both take our cars down to Darren, down there on the very south side of Indianapolis, right by the county line, down there off of 31. And if you need anything serviced for your car, they're going to give you an honest price, great work, and they genuinely care about their customers, about their friends, about everybody. Darren and the rest of the group there at Stewart Tire and Auto Center.
The best.
Yeah, so we appreciate them helping out our friend Vince, and hopefully he'll be a little bit more careful when he's driving.
I don't think it's Vince's fault.
Transfer portal-wise, Indiana already getting a commitment from Miles Rice from Washington State.
Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, right?
Yep. Redshirt freshman who had a nice year, 14.5 points per game. And look, anything that pushes Gabe Cupps out of the starting lineup is a good thing for Indiana. You know, no offense to Gabe Cupps, but that's not a starting level player in the Big Ten. They're in with Ballo, the two-time transfer from formerly Gonzaga and now to Arizona and now transferring again. They're in with a couple of others as well. Look, Indiana's got an NIL war chest. They can be aggressive in the portal. They have assets.
Derek, it's great to go out and get yourself really good groceries, but you got to cook a meal.
Here's the problem. The problem for Indiana has never been talent accrual. Mike Davis got talent. Bracy Wright and Marshall Strickland and guys like that. You know, DJ White, James Hardy. Remember that class? AJ Ratliff. That was a heralded recruiting class that he got. One of his last years there. Archie Miller got loads of talent. Tom Crean got talent. The problem hasn't been talent for Indiana. The problem has been fit.
Right.
And getting the guys to work together and be a cohesive unit. And I think we started to see that at the very, it was far too late by the time it happened. But like that finishing stretch for Indiana, I know they got run off the court by Nebraska in the Big Ten tournament, but that finishing stretch for Indiana, they started to actually look like a team, right? That's what they need to be.
I think also, Derek, you look at, this is where I get cynical when it comes to transfer portal. Okay, take the big out of Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man, number one transfer player, and you can bet because he's the number one transfer portal player. If he ends up in Indiana, people are going to do backflips and, like, hang the banner, right? And I'm like, okay, that's great. He had probably 2 NBA players around him at Arizona, and they got to the Sweet 16, right? So you surround him with Gabe Cupps, and it goes to a Final Four? I mean –
but Indiana's problem was
I get it. It beats the alternative. I get it.
Indiana needed a talent infusion, right? when you got past Renew, Mbako, and Ware, it just wasn't a good roster. Trey Galloway is
and Renew and Mbako are good players.
Yeah, Trey Galloway is a nice player. Trey Galloway's fine, but he's not like some high-level great player, and he was being relied upon to be a high-level great player because Indiana didn't have much less, and their bench stunk. Peyton Sparks is a MAC player, and he was on the team, and C.J. Gunn probably was in over his skis a little bit. The rest of that group that we barely ended up seeing.
Has C.J. Gunn announced where he's going?
DePaul.
Oh, that's right.
So Chris Holtman, at DePaul. So they needed a talent infusion, but they got to get the pieces to fit together. I think what you end up seeing where Indiana too often wants to model itself after like a team like Arizona, where you just roll the ball out there, and it's really hard to win like that. It's hard to get enough talent to just roll the ball out there and win.
It's amazing when you look at the amount of talent that Arizona's had and the number one seeds they've had.
They haven't been to the Final Four in 20 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty
and there
wild.
was a time there where they were like an automatic.
To be fair to them, they've gotten a lot closer than Indiana's gotten
right.
in those 20 years. But, talent-wise, assets, NIL, this is Indiana's time to shine. There's no reason why they can't be major players in the portal every single year. And maybe these guys fit great. Maybe Miles Rice is a missing link for them. I don't know. I'm willing to let this play out. But Mike Woodson needed a chance to fix this. And he's now being given a chance to fix this, which he deserved, Jake. I think what ended up happening last year was that things went south and people went berserk. And the level of play and the level of consistent competitiveness was not acceptable for large swaths of last year for Indiana. But overall, I think Mike Woodson deserved a chance to try to fix it, and now he's going to get that chance.
To your point about like it went south and everything collapsed, that's one of the challenges of being a program like that and getting a coach. Quite frankly.
Because there's no culture to fix it, right?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, like, just for example, and I hate to harp on something that's literally like a 1% thing, but like Brad Stevens, like I think there's hesitation about the Indiana job by some people because of the nature of the fan base. I mean, there are on-staff faculty members at Indiana that run websites critiquing the basketball program. Really?
Yeah.
The same thing happened to Kentucky. I think in Kentucky's case, people just didn't want to be the one to replace Cal. So you go out and you get Mark Pope, and if it works, great. And if not, then you go out and you get Donovan or you get, Hurley or whatever it might be. But I think those things exist. Now, back to the transfer portal. Indiana State's got two guys going to Texas. Avila's probably, I would imagine, going to go to Josh Schertz.
SLU, yeah.
That hasn't been announced yet. Please wait until you're done chewing before talking.
I think he's going to go to SLU.
The kid from Warren Central, or no, excuse me, it's Warren Central, right? Pike. I always get that confused.
Ryan Godwell?
Yeah, Warren Central is the kid that hit the shot from Seton Hall, right?
Yeah.
And Pike, Conwell. Indiana is rumored to be in the mix for him, but that seems to have cooled. We'll see. I know that he has a price tag that he's going after, and good for him.
He visited NC State, I think.
I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a good guard. So we'll see where he goes. And then on the Purdue side, you got Mason Gillis that, now is saying that he's going to put his name in the NBA waters, see where that goes. And then Duke is apparently a high consideration for him. So we shall see. So it is kind of crazy, right? Just the movement around all of it.
I would hate for like Mason Gillis to go to like Wisconsin or something, right? That would stink.
Yeah.
But if he went to Duke, the thing about him and Ethan Morton is that this was always going to happen. They didn't have any more room at the end. I think Mason's got multiple. He's got his MBA too, so he's got multiple degrees already, and he can move on and find something else in there. But I think he would be. He's an old school transfer, and he's the type of kid that you used to take to kind of, just kind of sprinkle on top of an already existing great sandwich or dish that you've already
like your
taken
mayonnaise
out of
that
the
you
kitchen.
spilled everywhere.
Like my mayonnaise that I spilled everywhere.
By the way, it is time for Love That Play, brought to you by the good guys at Love Heating and Air. Love-HVAC.com is their website. 317-353-2141 is their telephone number. That's 317-353-2141. Love-HVAC.com. In business, Central Indiana and the Donut Counties, over 100 years, making sure that they are giving you the best quality when it comes to keeping your home right now. Perfect time to make sure that your air conditioning unit is good for the summertime. Maybe simply get it clean before the season begins. And they're going to be honest about that, by the way. If it's not something major, they're going to say, look, it's not something major. You dodged one here. Let's get you tuned up. That's what you love about Love Heating and Air. They will treat you like family. Over 100 years in business here as a family-owned business in Central Indiana. Derek, I'm going to go with this. Not one, not two, but three plays. Okay. And love that play. In the Pacers' regular season finale against the Atlanta Hawks, T.J. McConnell hit not one, not two, but three three-point shots. And I think that was actually symbolic of T.J. McConnell's season, because you don't think of T.J. McConnell as a three-point shooter, but he's worked very hard in the last couple of months. I'm sure he has through the course of his career, but he's worked really hard at like independent shooting stuff of getting his three-point shot going. And Rick Carlisle has been open about the fact that it's because Rick Carlisle said to McConnell, look, if you've got a three, take it. If you've got an open look, just take it. So McConnell got himself in position to where all of a sudden he started getting in rhythm and feeling more confident in his three-point shot. But it is furthermore symbolic of just what he has done this year. This is a guy that, Derek, you said it best at the beginning of the season. Every year at the beginning of the year, you think this is the one where T.J. McConnell fades out of the rotation, and then every year you find him pushing his way back in. He now is a catalyst for that second unit and a really, really, really reliant, consistent spark plug player for them, and is hitting those 3 threes against Atlanta. I think a perfect tie on, or a bow, if you will, on the season itself and showing what he's done this year for Indiana.
Yeah, he's made up for the absence of Ben Mathurin. 21 double-figure games since the All-Star break, double-figure scoring for T.J. McConnell. We're talking like 11, 13, 15 points, but still, that's been important. He saved the season, Jake. If T.J. McConnell's not on this team, Pacers are in the play-in, maybe worse. And they're not going anywhere from there. I mean, he really did, I think, especially after the Mather injury, I think, in a way, saved the season and kept things afloat when Tyrese Halliburton was really struggling and the Pacers were trying to kind of find their way. So McConnell has been a hugely, hugely important piece for them here, especially over the second half of the year. They're not in this position without him, period.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. So I think that's a great choice for Love That Play. Because I'm looking here at his game log, and he only has a few games where he even attempted multiple threes, and a lot of them, 0 for 0, 0 for 0, 0 for 0, because it's not really his game. But I heard Rick Carlisle tell your colleagues Kevin Bowen and Andy Sweeney this morning that he actually encouraged it. He saw him in practice, and he said, hey, man, if you could step into your shot, go for it. Do it. I trust you. And that's what's so cool about having McConnell is that the coaching staff trusts him, his teammates trust him. They know that he's going to hold them accountable, and they know that he's going to take care of his job and make everybody around him better, and that's what T.J. McConnell does. Dude, he's a winner. It sounds cliche, but it's absolutely true. Let's get to our quick hits. Defoe gets paid, so good for Buck.
That's DeForest Buckner, by the way, the Colts defensive.
Really proud of Buck, and a big payday for Defoe.
DeForest Buckner. Yep.
Do you get bothered by the fact that we do this with all the Colts players, like the nickname thing?
I just say DeForest Buckner.
I know, it gets kind of annoying, doesn't it, a little bit? Yeah, DeForest Buckner, 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle, 2-year, $46 million for the contract extension.
One of the few guys, Derek, that, and I say this not about the Colts, just in general in the league, typically when you make a trade for an already established veteran, you later have some sort of buyer remorse. Not here.
No, he can wreck games. He can wreck games for sure. So this is tacked on to the existing year, so he is a Colt through 2026 contractually. So just turned 30 last month, and you're going to get him for 3 more prime years, I would say. Jordan will be happy about this because he's been clamoring for us to include baseball. Have you seen this? Paul Skeens, the number 1 pick for the Pirates? He's just been when the Indianapolis Indians had put him out there, he's just been unhittable. 19 strikeouts in 9 1/3 scoreless innings so far. He's given up just 6 base runners, 4 hits, 2 walks. I have no idea. I don't pay enough attention to the Pirates organization to know what kind of timetable they have for him. But if you want to see him, you better go.
Yeah.
You better go pretty quick because this dude is crazy. He just goes in there and he throws gas and he strikes everybody out. It's insane. He's just overwhelming hitters.
How old is he?
I don't even know. 22?
Okay.
How old is? Do you guys know? 21. Okay. God, Vince works the broadcasts and doesn't even know. That's your second flat tire for this week.
Vince is the one that just gave me the answer. Vince actually said 21.
Yeah, it was delayed, though.
He had to set down his paperwork for the HR complaint that he's filling out.
It was delayed, like the ISC van getting to Marion for the doubleheader because of the flat tires. So everything ends up being delayed. And this just actually happened this morning. As Jake was coming in here, Carl Erskine, it appears, has passed away. 97?
I saw this from Bill Benner on Facebook. Carl Erskine, the legendary Brooklyn Dodgers pitcher, who, when he first went to Brooklyn, Carl Erskine stayed at the Brooklyn YMCA, and he was one of the teammates of Jackie Robinson when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. And for Carl Erskine, who himself had, some things in terms of getting into the majors to overcome, just defying the odds, coming from Anderson, Indiana, but not obviously to the level of Jackie Robinson. But the compassion that he had for Jackie Robinson and vice versa created a bond between those two that lasted forever. And then that was cemented when Carl Erskine's son was born with Down syndrome and was a huge fan of Jackie Robinson. And it led to a brotherhood and a teammate, if you will, partnership that lasted even beyond Jackie Robinson's living years. Carl Erskine's legacy will be the fact that not only was he very active with Special Olympics in Indiana, but also he is the namesake for the Erskine Green Institute, which is a program throughout Anderson, Muncie, and Central Indiana to help those that have intellectual challenges getting acclimated into and learning life skills and employment skills in the real world. I've followed them around and seen up close and personal the work that the Erskine Green Institute does. So Carl Erskine worked tirelessly his entire life towards not only bettering the game of baseball, but bettering the game of life for a lot of people, and he will be greatly missed in Central Indiana. A true Hoosier icon.
Yeah. Just echoing all the things that you just said. Just a sweet man.
Yep. Played his harmonica.
Yeah, it's weird. Carl Erskine's one of those guys that you just – and I know life doesn't work this way. You just figured was always going to be around.
Totally agree with
right?
that. Totally agree with that.
It is a weird mental adjustment to think that he's no longer here.
Totally agree with that.
But thoughts with all the people that were – I know Howard Kellman, of course, had a really close relationship with him. Thoughts all the people that he graced with his presence. A wonderful Hoosier sports representative for years and years and years, and he'll be greatly, greatly missed. But what an incredible life.
Incredible life, yeah.
Incredible life for an incredible guy. We'll come back. Bide or Bold Bleep as we wrap up episode 182 here on Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games are we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgages in a snap. Duh.
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Welcome back. Final time. Bailey & Wood presents Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Thanks to Chateau
I
Kitchens.
notice you take it out now every break.
For
Is that by your design?
no, just taking control of the show. I think I'm mostly the reason people watch this show and listen to this show. I'd say
I don't.
just
think
from the
that's-
feedback that I've gotten,
From who?
just people, majority of people. I'm mostly the reason people listen to this show. Chateau Kitchens is mostly the reason that my house looks amazing, because they have completed now renovation projects on our guest bathroom, which is James's bathroom.
Was he a
shower.
guest?
No, he is not a guest. He is welcome in our house. Our kitchen, which is the first project that got it all done way back in 2018, and now our basement is done. I'll have those pictures. We're waiting on one more cabinet door that got back ordered, but once that's done and everything's good to go,
Are you
we'll
going to
take
be
some
clothed
pictures.
in these pictures?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
Depending on what people want. We'll run a poll maybe and see what they want.
I can assure you I know that answer.
ChateauKitchens.com, at Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook for before and after pictures. It's incredible the work that they do. Check it out because they've changed our lives really in a lot of ways with what they've been able to do in our home. And they still have the Mouse Pals Visionary of the Year fundraiser going right now for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Mallory, of course, Stephen Moore, the owner of Chateau Kitchens, his fiance, who succumbed to cancer. And they're trying to raise $50,000. So the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society will name a research portfolio after Mallory. So we would absolutely love to see that. If you can donate, there is the QR code on the screen to donate to Mal's Pals. Biter Bobleep, statement number 1, Pacer season will be a disappointment without a playoff series win.
I'm going to hedge a little bit here. Certainly it would be disappointing to lose in the playoffs because you always want to do that. But you have to go back and look at the expectation at the beginning of the year. The beginning of the year, it was about getting into the playoffs, getting a playoff series, and they were able to do that. This group is going to learn so much. Hopefully it goes, 6-7 games. I think they'll win the series. But even if they lose the series, I think that just getting into the playoff series against a team like Milwaukee that's established with a star player like Giannis and Damian Lillard, that is going to be absolutely immeasurable in terms of their growth moving forward. So I will say Bullschultz, but I understand it would be disappointing to not see them advance.
I mean, if they won 47 games. If they, let's say, we're talking hypotheticals on the show here. Let's say they lose a game 7 in Milwaukee and Giannis goes for 45 points and you lose by 3. Are we going to call the whole season a disappointment? No, that's ridiculous. No, I'll be disappointed if they get swept, which I don't think is going to happen. If they go another year and get in the playoffs and get swept again for the what would it be then? 3rd straight year because they were swept in 19 and the bubble year. So it'd be the 3rd straight time. Then I would be kind of disappointed, and I think it gives you a different feeling on the season. But no, disappointment just for losing. No, absolutely not. Caitlin Clark will average 20 a game as a rookie. Biter Bobleep.
Bullschultz. Great passer. She's a facilitator for Aaliyah Boston. She'll average 14.5 points per game.
That's a high bar. I'm looking at it here, and the leading scorer in the WNBA, Jewel Lloyd, averaged 24.5 points a game.
Yeah,
the leading scorer.
Yeah, no way.
In the NBA, you got guys dropping 31, 32, 33 a game. So, yeah, I think that's asking too much. But, Jake, that's what right? People are going to expect her to just come in and dominate, and I don't think it's going to be that easy. It's a really tough league. Statement 3, April is an underrated sports month.
I'm going to say Bullschultz.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the Masters. I get that people love it.
Okay. You spent too much time around Kevin, probably.
But then outside of that, or you. Outside of that, I mean, baseball's cool, but
NFL draft, you love the NFL draft. Love it. Yeah, April.
I like the twitch on the guy out of A&M in the 6th round. I think he's got better burst.
Absolutely. I think April's an underrated sports month. When you consider Final Four, so college basketball bleeds in there, start of baseball, major NFL event, and probably the biggest golf major, right? All in the same month. And then you've got racing, right? Racing season's underway. Okay. It's an underrated sports month. I buy it.
Biter Bullschultz. I will visit haunted sites and or cemeteries in Los Angeles this weekend when I'm going to Long Beach.
I'm going to buy it.
That's probably right.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. Thanks to all of our great sponsors.
Maybe some movie scene places.
Weirdo. Chateau Kitchens, Hoagies and Hops, Chili Water Brewing, Tap Room. Our friends at Stewart Tire and Auto. I know they're not technically an active sponsor right now, but thanks for helping Vince out.
Love Heating and Air.
What Vince did.
American Dairy Association of Indiana.
Absolutely.
Hoagies and Hops, did you say them?
Yep. Bailey and Wood Financial Group.
Okay.
Everybody. For Vince, for Greg, Jake, Derek, bye. They're wrapping me up.
At an Indiana dairy farm, long workdays stretch into more labor after sunset. A newborn calf needs watching. Barn needs cleaning. Tractor needs some handiwork for tomorrow's tasks. Just like in your own home, the day's chores are never done until the family beds down for the night. Dairy farmers and their families share the same dream with all of us, that what we all do is worthwhile. Bringing to market pure, safe, and healthy dairy foods is what they do, from Indiana's dairy families to ours every single day. Learn more at winnersdrinkmilk.com.